Good morning, friends. I'm happy to be with you today. It is a gorgeous day. Get outside and enjoy it. The book I have for you today is called Lighthouse Dog to the Rescue. It's written by an Angelique Perot and the pictures are by Emily Harris. Pay attention to the pictures. They're so beautiful. The colors are amazing. Let's begin. Spot sat at the foot of the tower of Owl's Head Light. It was the perfect lookout for a lighthouse dog. Ships and boats of many kinds passed by, and the friendly spaniel loved them all. Across the gray water of Pentecost Bay, a bank of fog was rolling in. Fog meant danger for ships. Spot barked a warning. Nearby played the Lighthouse Girls. Pauline and her little sister Millie were sorting sea glass into piles of pale green, emerald green, cobalt blue, root beer brown, and milky white. When Pauline heard Spot bark, she lifted her head and saw the fog creeping closer and closer. "We must tell Father," she said to Millie. They raced down the walkway to the house where their father was painting the trim a bright white. Keeper Gus Harmer worked hard to keep the lighthouse station ship-shape. "Fog's coming in," Pauline called to her father. Keeper Hammer pulled on his jacket and fastened the brass buttons. Already fingers of fogs were curling around the lighthouse. "It's going to be a peace super," he announced. He sent Millie to the house for sandwiches. He and Pauline climbed the spiral staircase to the tower. In the lantern room, Pauline and Spot watched as their father lit the lamp. It was a powerful light, but it did not shine far in the thick fog. "We will have to ring the bell," said Keeper Harmer. Down the path they hurried. Pauline and her father took turns pulling on the rope every few minutes. Clang! Clang! The sound of the bell would guide the sailors even if the light could not be seen. Millie arrived with lunch. "Chicken sandwiches and tea," she declared, smacking her lips. Spot had been watching. Suddenly he grabbed the rope and with his teeth and backed up. The big bell pealed. His family was amazed. "Smart dogs," Pauline praised her pet. Spot was thrilled with his new skill. From that day on, every time a boat passed, he pulled on the rope to say hello. Clang, 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 the bell would sound until the captain of the passing boat said, "Enough," and rang his own bell in reply. Then the spaniel would rush to the water's edge and bark in delight. Before long, all the sailors of Pentecost Bay knew Spot, the lighthouse dog. Captain Stuart Ames was especially fond of Spot. Twice a day his mailboat steamed past the lighthouse, carrying mail between Rockland and Matticus Island. He welcomed the little dog's greeting. The captain was always sure to blow the boat's whistle and wave. Often in the afternoon, Mrs. Ames would call the Harmers at the lighthouse. "Have you seen the mailboat go by yet?" she would ask. If the answer was yes, she would know that Captain Ames was almost home and it was time to start cooking his dinner. Spot loved the life of a lighthouse dog. Through all seasons of the year, he greeted the passing boats. Winter meant more work for the Harmer family. Day after day, they shoveled snow to clear the paths to the tower and the bell. One day, a blizzard hit the coast of Maine. Blinding snow swirled over Owl's Head, and wind howled around the corners of the keeper's house. Pauline and Millie were huddled on the rug playing paper dolls when their father put on his heavy overcoat and went out to check the light. Pauline wished he did not have to go out in such awful weather. She pressed her face to the window. The yellow glow of his lantern soon disappeared in the storm. Keeper Harmers clung to the slippery catwalk of the tower and scraped ice off the windows. Still, the lighthouse beam barely showed through the thick curtain of snow. He trudged down the path to the bell. When he saw it, he was horrified. Sea spray had dashed against it, adding layer upon layer of ice. The bell was frozen solid. Back at the house, the keeper sadly told his family, "Our light and our bell will not be guiding ships tonight." Pauline hoped all the sailors were safely at home by now. Just then, the telephone rang. It was Mrs. Ames, and she sounded worried. "Captain Ames is 2 hours overdue. I'm afraid he has lost his way in the blizzard." "There has been no sign of the mailboat," Pauline's father answered, "but we might have missed it in the noise of the storm." "My husband speaks often of your very clever dog," said Mrs. Ames. "Do you think Spot might be able to hear the boat's whistle?" Keeper Harmer gazed at Spot, who was dozing by the fire. "We will send him out and see what happens." Pauline wrapped her arms around the dog's neck. "Spot," she said softly, "listen for the mailboat. Captain Ames needs you." Spot stood in the raging storm, listening and listening. He could hear nothing except the screaming wind and the pounding waves. Finally, after half an hour, he scratched at the door to be let in. "Poor thing," exclaimed Pauline. "The dog's fur was crusted with ice. He lay down in an unhappy heap and closed his eyes. A puddle began to form around him." Pauline wished there was something they could do to help Captain Ames. She hated to think of the mailboat tossing around in the wild waves, not knowing which way to go. Worst of all, what if it crashed on the rocks, as so many other boats had done in the past? After resting a few minutes, Spot suddenly sat up, alert and listening. He scampered down the hall and barked to be let outside. Pauline and her father threw on their coats and followed. Spot struggled through the snow toward the Fog Bell, but the drifts were too deep, so he skirted the cliff top, which was blown clean by the wind. There he stopped and barked loudly. Again and again he barked. Pauline peered over the cliff, but saw only whirling snow. She cupped her hand behind her ear and listened for the sound of the boat's engine, but all she heard was the roar of the storm. She wondered how Spot could possibly hear the mailboat. But Spot did hear something. He started out to sea, barking, then listening, then barking some more. And yes, Pauline could hear it too. There was the familiar whistle, 3 distant blasts to say that Captain Ames had heard Spot's barking. Now the captain knew where he was. He could start a short course for Rockland Harbor and home. "You saved the day, Spot," said the dog's proud mistress. 2 hours later, the Harmers' telephone rang again. It was Mrs. Ames. "Captain Ames is safely home, thanks to Spot," she announced. "Give that dear dog of yours a special treat tonight." But Spot was already enjoying his reward. Pauline had toweled him off, and Millie had made a bed for him by the fire. He was now munching on the biggest bone the girls had been able to find in the kitchen. The spunky spaniel did not think of himself as a hero. Rescuing a friend was all in the line of duty for a lighthouse dog. There he is, Spot the hero. And let me just read what the author has written here. A Springer Spaniel named Spot really did live at the Owl's Head Lighthouse in Maine in the 1930s. He was the pet of Pauline Harmer, whose father was the keeper of the lighthouse. Spot seems to have taken to the life of a lighthouse dog. He loved to ring the fog bell, which he learned to do by watching Keeper Harmer. Just as it was told in the story, Spot watched for passing boats to greet with a bell and a bark. The sailors of Pentecost Bay responded by blowing their boats' whistles or foghorns. After she was grown up, Pauline described the mailboat rescue to author Edward Rowe Snow, who wrote about it in his book, The Lighthouses of New England. When Spot died, he was buried near the old fog bell he had loved so much. What a great story, my friends. You have a great day, and remember, be kind, be safe, be responsible, and take good care of your parents. Till next time. Bye.